We're talking about Bird Box today.
Take your blindfolds off. We got some things for y'all to hear.
My name is Taylor. This is Illiterate. I've read the book.
My name is Evan. I have not read the book.
So we got lots to talk about. Here we go. Evan has not read the book.
I've not read the book, but I have seen the movie. I have seen the Netflix original film.
And I have not seen the film. So it's an interesting dynamic today, but we got an announcement.
Ooh, what is it, Taylor?
We've got an email. illiterate@email.com. If you sign up for it, it's got notes from the episode. Comes out every Friday when the episodes come out. So you'll get the tactical responses.
The details.
For how to sound cooler at a party. Maybe some interesting articles.
You never know. We might throw some. I might read something. Who knows?
And then you'll hear from Evan about what he read. And then, most importantly, we've got special giveaways and prizes. You'll only know about them if you sign up for the list.
Yeah, sign up for. And what do we got this week?
This week, it's not going to be every week, but this week we've got a copy of Bird Box, brand new,
up for grabs,
hot off the press. If you sign up for the email list, send us your name and that you want to be entered. You'll be randomly selected in a drawing to win the book.
So sign up by March 15th, get in the drawing, and who knows, you might win a copy of Bird Box, and you'll know all the fun, interesting stuff and go read it for yourself.
And so there it is.
Well, let's get into it, Taylor.
So,
here we go.
As you know, we got 7 sections. We're starting out with the quick and dirty summary for our big 5 sections. Number 1, Dancing Mania.
I can't wait.
Number 2.
So intriguing. I wish that was last.
Well, it's going to be first. Number 2, Describing the Senses. Number 3, Handwriting. What do you know about handwriting?
I don't know anything. I'm illiterate.
We'll find out. Number 4, Raising Children. We both know nothing about it.
I know nothing.
But we're going to talk about it.
But I pontificate about it a lot. It is actually something that does take up quite a bit of, my forethought for the future. So
we're going to talk about it. Raising Children. And then number 5, Ghost Friendships. After that, the 5 actionable steps, ways that you can sound cooler at a party.
Those things you can step right out tonight, take to a party, Friday night, Saturday night, put them into action, sound cool.
Here we go. Book summary.
When was it written?
2014. Josh Malerman. So he is a multifaceted artist character. He is a singer for a Detroit band called The High Strung. He was on tour for 6 years. They did 250 shows a year, all over the place. He wrote 14 books on the tour bus. Never sent them to anyone. I mean, he told his friends, he'd be like, I'm working on something. I'm working on these short stories. It was just something he was doing on the side while they were, And they're still a band, so they've been a band now for 19 years. They started in 2000.
Wow.
So that's his main thing.
Yeah.
Is just being a part of this band.
Wow.
Yeah. The band got a little bit more notoriety, I think, because of this book more than anything. But they wrote the theme song for the show Shameless.
Okay.
So that's like the only thing that maybe anybody would know.
Gotcha.
One of their songs. But yeah, so he was just a writing fool. I was just fascinated by the fact that here's just this guy and he's still doing the band. They have an album that's coming out, or that came out in January, and then he's got another book coming out in April.
That's wild. It reminds me of like Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, which the band was popular beforehand, and then he was able to do comics, but he was always a story comic guy, and that's how it all started. But, they just released on Netflix as well his miniseries, The Umbrella Academy, which is
I've heard about that.
Yeah. So the series just came out, but it's written by Gerard Way, the singer for My Chemical Romance.
Just all these multifaceted people.
It's insane.
Putting out the work. Now's the time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the author. We have 262-page book.
Did you read the physical book?
Yeah, I read it in 2014, not to be a hipster.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so I read it. I read it before.
Ahead of the curve.
And then ahead of the curve, I looked it up immediately after I read it, and I was like, they got to be making this into something. And then I saw that, of course, they were in talks for the screenplay and whatever.
I'm wondering, I wonder when... Because it seems to me, as just a moviegoer, cinema guy, it seems to me to be Netflix's like direct response to A Quiet Place. It's like, this seems like they knew A Quiet Place was being made, and they were like, we have something kind of like that. Go, go, go.
Right. And so the thing is, he had written this before... So he had written this in response to that movie, The Happening, that came out. He was inspired by that.
And it feels like that, but that movie was a disaster. One of the worst financial decisions of my life.
Right. Personally, I lost big time from that. No, but so then he was also worried because Cormac McCarthy's The Road came out, which was sort of a dystopian. That came out in 2009, but he had already written this, so he was worried that if he had no plans to do anything with the books, but if ever he was going to do something with all this stuff he was writing on the tour bus, that there would already be all this work that was based on it. So it's interesting that, Quiet Place came out before even the movie came out, but the book came out before that. But yeah.
It's all a very short amount of time.
And how it's like, here's a sort of dystopian horror thing, and the monsters attack you based on one of the senses, which you can't use.
Right.
What in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah. The premise is there's these creatures or monsters or something that has infected people or done something. It's very ambiguous in the book, definitely.
Well, how does it play out? How does it play out in the book? How do you get the idea that, how do they introduce that idea of something is happening?
There's just news that these weird suicides have happened in Russia, and then it goes into Alaska, and then people are worried, and it's a very personal story and account, so it's way off in the periphery of how these things are happening. But something is happening to people where they're seeing something. That's what people come to realize, is that they're seeing something, and it's causing them to go crazy and take their own life.
They're seeing something that everybody else can't see.
Or maybe you see it, and then people somehow they figure that out, and so this woman who has just become pregnant recently within the past few weeks is with her sister. Her sister gets infected by this, whatever it is, kills herself, and so she has to find another place. And by this point, everybody has blanketed windows, is so concerned about looking at anything. She finds a house where other people are and lives with them. And this is happening in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And so stuff happens in the house. Another person tries to join them. They go out and look for dogs. They find this box of birds, which is where the title comes from, that the birds, for a certain point, are not affected by whatever these things are, but they're just able to alert these people if anything is coming around. This other guy shows up named Gary in the book, who's super creepy and says he was living with people and they got really weird and he's trying to find a place to stay. The main character, Mallory, doesn't trust him. They kick him out because she finds these weird notebooks and all this stuff about the monsters and thinks that he's lying about who he actually is. She gives birth. There's another character, one of the girls who came in at the beginning, that also is pregnant. So they give birth at the same time. This Gary character has been hiding in the basement the whole time, which if you saw the signs in the book, it's revealed that he didn't actually leave. This other character is one of his confidants who's helping him.
The pregnant lady, the other pregnant lady, is a confidant of Gary?
No, just another guy that's in the house
okay.
is a confidant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa, that'd be crazy.
No, so then all this madness happens. Gary opens up the blinds, the monsters or whatever it is show up, people start killing themselves. She's the only one left with these two kids, and then she is just living on her own for 4 years until the kids become 4 years old, and then she decides to make her way out because she knew that there was this place, because they had gotten one phone call from one person of all the time that they had been trying to figure out how to get out of there, that there was this safe place. So then that's her going down the river with these kids. So it alternates just that one scene of her going down the river with the whole situation that happened. Yeah. So that's kind of the book in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, it sounds like the movie's pretty close.
It's very close.
I was kind of expecting it to go the other way, because while I was watching the film, it seemed to play out to me a lot like typical zombie films, especially all of the stuff in the house. That is most zombie films where the group of people are safe, and the only reason that things go wrong is because they have an emotional weakness and let the door open.
Right. So with the book, I was never concerned so much for their safety in that way. The menace in the book, and I haven't seen the movie, but the menace in the book is much more ambiguous even than the movie is concerned, because they don't know anything about anything. They're like, it could be as big as a fingernail. There could be thousands of them everywhere. They could be surrounded our house right now. They have no concept of anything. So that sense of dread, and then the other thing, when somebody knocks on the door, they all put their blindfolds on.
Right, because they have no idea.
They open it up, they say, come in quick. They're smacking everybody with brooms and hitting stuff and just going crazy, patting the person down, closing the door, just trying to feel anything.
Oh, wow.
And then it's such a it's such a terrifying thing when they're saying, "Oh, you're okay." They just have to trust that that person has also not brought in or is not pretending to be the monster because they don't know anything about what is happening. And so there was a quote where they're saying the little moment between deciding to open your eyes and doing it is as scary as the thing you'll see, because it's just, what do I do? You know.
Yeah.
So that sense of dread factors into the book a lot more. It's less like a zombie. There's monsters out there. It's just like we don't even know anything. But we can't look at it.
I see.
Yeah. Topic number 1, because we're talking about dancing mania. So what in the world does that have to do with anything? This book reminded me a lot, and I had to look up. There's something called mass psychogenic illness, or more commonly called hysteria.
Say what?
This is what it sounds like, where something's going on, and it's affecting tons of people, and nobody knows what the hell it is. This is a historical situation that happens. It first came about in what's called dancing mania in 1374, which is the Middle Ages. So this thing would happen where just for maybe even weeks at a time, just groups of people would start dancing and not be able to control themselves. And just sometimes it would get into groups of thousands of people.
No Daft Punk on or anything?
Well, so the musicians joined sometimes to aid in thinking that would help stop it, but it propagated it more, and more people crowded around, and then they would be caused in this convulsion. People thought it was the devil. People thought it was a curse. Yeah, and but that's crazy to me that for weeks on end, but it died out in the mid-17th century, but there's many, many instances in the medieval times of it being recorded, of these mass dancing hysteria panics. And it's like people are uncomfortable, like they're not in, it's not a groove party. They're like, I can't stop dancing. So this is where there was an incident that happened with children in the 1200s where they walked and danced for 12 miles between cities, and that's where the legend of the Pied Piper comes from.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, like I said, the dancing stuff petered out in the 1700s, and mostly it was instituted in moments of hardship, which I thought was interesting. There's still no known cause for why it happened. But
I'm surprised the Women's March didn't just burst into...
Yeah. It might be a physical, bodily, we can't understand it reaction to, which is what Bird Box reminded me of. It's like maybe there's something in the culture or something where people are just...
Dance it out,
but in Bird Box, just kill yourself.
Yeah.
Madness. So, the other thing, there was later on in time, there's other instances of mass hysteria, not dancing that take place, but there was an incident in Belgium in 1999 where Coca-Cola had 30 million units of Coke removed because hundreds of people said that they were getting sick from this thing. Scientists did the test. There was nothing wrong with the batches.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it was just reported on the news, and so it is...
It's just like group thought.
Your mind is... Yeah,
you just get locked into
your mind is more powerful than you think. And the most recent one that happened was these clown sightings in 2016.
Right, I heard about that.
And if you remember
That's
that.
That's fucking creepy.
Yeah. So, but that was not, but it's interesting because that was maybe one thing that happened, and then one thing was sort of true about that where somebody saw a clown, and then it just spread like wildfire. There were reports in New Zealand and Canada
everywhere,
and Europe, and just people were seeing clowns all over the place, and it's like...
People thought it was like advertising for a movie or something. People were like it was either an advertising for a movie or it was like an actual cult that was coming to murder everyone.
Or it was this mass psychogenic illness where not that many people were actually seeing it, but you just imagined that you did, and you felt like you were a part of it because it was being reported.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me almost of the crop circles, throughout the 80s and 90s. I mean, even further than that, but That's interesting.
But that's dancing mania.
Dancing mania. I love it. I love the dance. When you said what it was, I mean, man, I want that now. Like, I feel like we could all just use like a. Give me like a 72-hour break where everybody's just out in the street dancing like a block party, even if it's frustrating. And just, I don't know what's going on, but I gotta get out of here.
I gotta dance.
I feel like we'd all just get a lot out.
Because the Middle Ages were tough.
Yeah.
And then it just went away after that in the Renaissance because people were cool. You'll be on the lookout for some wild dancing.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Topic number 2. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
It is describing the senses as a narrative device. The first chapters of this book, I don't have the numbers on it, but he describes sight so much before the incident happens. More descriptive language about what she's seeing and what it looks like and how she's interpreting it through her vision. And then after that, he can't describe anything as what they're seeing. So it's all tactile smell, taste, hearing.
Wow. Okay.
And that is definitely a conscious choice in terms of the writing, but I didn't pick up on it the first time I read it, but I was looking for it this time. I'll read you a passage from sort of midway through the book, page 90. Notice all of the different tactile senses that have nothing to do with, because she can't see anything, but this is in the third person.
This is my favorite part.
And so, just to set it up, they're going down the river with the kids. "Leave us alone," she yells, her face contorted. Suddenly, she longs for the walls of the house. There are no walls on this river, no cellar beneath them, no attic above. "Mommy!" As the girl screams for her, something breaks through the branches. Something big. Mallory jabs the paddle again, but it only breaks the water. She grabs the boy and girl and pulls them close. She hears a growl. "Mommy!" "Quiet!" she yells, pulling the girl even closer. Is it the man, deranged? Do the creatures growl? Do they make any noises at all? A second growl now, and suddenly Mallory understands what it is. It's dog-like, canine. Wolves. She doesn't have time to coil before a wolf's claw slashes her shoulder. She screams. Immediately, she feels the warm blood cascading the length of her arm. Cold water sloshes in the rowboat's bottom. They smell it on us, Mallory thinks, frantic, turning her head in every direction. They know we can't defend ourselves.
The warm blood and the cold water made, like, that hurt. Like, that felt my bones hurt. My bone, like, ugh.
But you see how there's so many touch, smell, sound, all of that. And the thoughts going through her head.
Yeah.
And so you feel like when you're reading this that you have
You're
a blindfold on and you have no idea what's going on.
Wow.
And it's so suspenseful in that way. Or like I said, describing how they have no idea. These things could be as small as a fingernail. They could be right up next to you. Right. They could be nose to nose with you. And you have no idea what's happening. And that dread carries over in all of those things. There was an interesting scene where they're searching through houses, one of the other side characters going through. Mm-hmm. And he talks about how he hears a sound upstairs and he immediately reaches for his blindfold to put it on, which was an interesting reversal in the trope of a horror movie, that it's scarier for him to look going up the stairs because he knows that could be something terrible. The other thing that I thought was interesting, which then I looked up later and factored in as far as describing the senses and describing things, he doesn't describe anything about the characters. He doesn't describe their weight, their race, their anything visually at all. He just says their names. This is Tom. Cool. This is Olympia. She's pregnant. Yeah. And then that's all you know about the character for the story. Yeah. Which Netflix used to great effect, I believe, in having a range of characters and personalities and such. But I thought that was an interesting stylistic choice as far as description in the book, because you just jump right into it. Yeah. And
it's in this world, it's getting your senses working right off the bat. It's making you do more work than normal without even thinking about it.
And to these people, that doesn't matter what these people look like. If you were in that world where you can't see anything, who cares? Any thoughts?
Well, I'm just glad that the book actually has any real weight to it at all, to be quite honest. Because my assumption is that, like I said, that I really assumed that this was just to capitalize on Quiet Place.
No, it happened before A Quiet Place.
Incredible.
Much before A Quiet Place.
Incredible.
Speaking of having it being created and written, topic number 3, handwriting. How does this factor in at all? Josh, who wrote the book, wrote these books on the road. And so this is a lot of times before laptops, and it's 2000 when he's writing these things and thereabout. But yeah, he admits to writing in completion 4 of these books longhand entirely. This book was written without a computer, just on notepads.
Wow.
And I thought that was amazing.
When was the last time you heard of that?
Not very often. Yeah. So he's writing his next book that's coming out in April, and he said he wrote that one. He went back to writing that one longhand also. And I looked up more about handwriting just because that was such an interesting fact to me about how this book was constructed, because it felt so close and intimate and real. And it turns out that when you write things, there's a lot of scientific backing on how it helps you out in your mental processes. There was a 2009 University of Washington study where they had elementary kids writing stuff, and the ones that wrote it down, they wrote more, first of all. It was better writing, and they remembered more about the material that they were tasked with writing about. There
Interesting.
is and so then I looked up the science of it more. There is a particular part of your brain that's in between the back of your brain and your spine called the reticular activating system.
Mm-hmm.
It's this bundle of nerves about the size of a pencil that connects. And so that is that is what keeps your mind focused on things. So you can only I mean there's so much data going on
Right.
and coming into your mind. So this bundle of nerves and neurons, maybe it's not nerves, maybe it's neurons.
Correct
Science.
us.
Correct us, please. Nerves or neurons?
Send us an email to illiterate@gmail.com.
email.com. Nerves or neurons. It is in charge of filtering all of that stuff. So you can technically only filter 100 pieces of information at a time. There's 1,200 trillion things happening to you. The air conditioner. If you just said, "Oh, only listen," and then you start to listen, you'll start to hear the air conditioner. You'll hear the car backing up behind you. You'll
Water
hear
dripping off the
water
sink.
dripping off the sink. You'll hear all of this stuff, and your brain, if you could take in everything, you would go insane.
Oh my God.
So when you're writing, you're forcing your reticular activating system to only focus and process on that one thing, and so it helps you, like I said, write more, write better, remember it more. And so they're focused so much on not being able to see that that's all they can think about.
Right.
And it negatively affects them because your reticular activating system, you're training it to say, this is what's important. Like if every day you sat there and was like, I'm going to try and listen to the water dripping.
You're like trying to rewire your brain.
Yeah, and that's what it does. And so that's where people have the optimist, pessimist. Like if you find, oh man, I did really well on that, I'm just going to keep doing well, you'll start to see good things happening. Or if you're like, oh, I'm just so unlucky, you'll start to see more unlucky things because you're training that bundle of whatever it is to look for it. So handwriting helps you process and focus on those things better. Also, just so you know, January 23rd passed us by, but it's National Handwriting Day.
No.
So when that rolls around again, grab those pens and pencils.
352 days or whatever. That's kind of beautiful in a weird way. Like I have like a soft spot for that. I'm like,
Go him on the tour bus.
That's gorgeous.
And I can just imagine they're on the tour bus and like, Josh, what the hell are you writing?
Right. Get your notebooks out of here.
We got a show to do.
4,000.
Yeah,
that would be my thing. Because I like taking handwriting notes, but I am terrible at actually being able to organize my handwriting. Like I can organize shit fine, but like being able to go back and find the note I wanted to find, impossible for me, I feel like a lot of the time.
I just have a million notebooks and I just accept that as part of the process.
Yeah.
That it is the recovery later on. Topic number 4. Things that we are not qualified to talk about, but we'll talk about anyways. Because we're interested in them.
Yeah.
Don't write what you know, write what you're trying to understand. Raising children. I'm fascinated by it.
Definitely.
This book, huge in that process. There's many times throughout the book where they're bringing up things about kids, how it affects kids. She wonders constantly, is she a good mother? Because what's the point of having these kids in this world? They're trapped in this house for 4 years. They can't see anything. When she is pregnant in the house, one of the characters says, you ought to blind these babies the second they come out, because they don't deserve this life of
man.
So she has to reckon with that. Has some paint thinner and is hovering over them in the crib being like, should I do this?
Wow, that is not in the film, and that would have been crazy.
Yeah, so it's just that energy of she's such a strong woman to be able to say this is worth it, but also she's a human. She's constantly thinking, going down the river in the 4 years in the thing, I'm bringing these kids into the world. What is this world? Is it worth it? Am I doing the right thing? So that brought me to thinking about, because when I first read the book and then looked up and said, oh, they're going to make a movie out of it. And I thought, how in the world are they going to do this? Based on how I read it, I looked up who they had attached. And of course, Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock is in it, Woman of the Year. But I looked more into her because I was like, this is crazy. So the book, the character is a lot younger, and it's like a one-night stand that she gets pregnant from.
Okay.
And so she says, oh, I'm going to keep it, but then the world goes to shit, and so she just is saying, this is my life, this is what I'm doing, I've chosen this. Who knows where the guy is, that kind of, he probably killed himself the next day from the plague or whatever. So Sandra when the movie or what was announced, is in her mid-40s.
Right.
And so I thought that's very strange for her to be pregnant. Like, just logistically, a mid-40s woman does not become pregnant on a whim.
Right.
it's a bit more challenging. And so then I looked into her as an actress, thinking, okay, well, if she's putting on this role, this is a huge role. Like, this is about motherhood.
Right.
And she has never had a kid. She has never been pregnant.
Oh.
She, in 2010, adopted kids. So she lives in New Orleans.
Oh.
And she
I didn't know that
adopted,
either.
yeah, so she adopted a boy and a girl, one in 2010 and one in 2015.
Kept them as boy and girl.
Right. That's why they picked her, because they're like, oh, we need somebody.
Oh, you're weird.
But I just looked into that because I thought this is not that I mean, it's acting. You don't have to actually be what you act as.
Right.
But I just thought I couldn't draw the connection between how can she feel these things and really be in this character. And it's like, oh, this was her life.
Yeah.
She made the conscious decision.
Yeah.
I am going to bring kids into my life and teach them things and learn. And I mean, I don't know if they were in a bad place from being adopted, but it's like, you got to be a part of a family.
Right.
And adopting is it's not you just like go into the thing and pick a kid and be like, I'll take that one. It's
it's
a
not a
long,
puppy.
it's a long, serious process where they have to integrate you into the family and make sure that it's a good fit and all of this other stuff and the legal. It was a huge thing for her while she's being Woman of the Year, making all these movies, doing all this stuff, balancing all of that. So I thought, oh, now that makes sense that she has that as a facet of her life of raising children, a boy and a girl specifically, also that she is choosing of her own volition in her late 40s to say, I want this and I want to have a family and put it together that way. So I feel like that is probably what helped her drawing from her own life.
Well, that's probably a sign of a good director. I mean,
Yeah.
You know.
She went and auditioned and they were like, boom, you got it.
Well, Sandra Bullock's a really good actress. What's going on in her life? Oh, she chose to adopt two kids late in life?
Named boy and girl.
Boy and girl. Okay, what? Hey, guys, we got it.
No other casting. Yeah. So yeah, we're on to topic number 5, ghost friends.
My favorite.
I always try to put the last one as your favorite. So the main author, the only author, well, he's not the main,
author.
He's the main author. He's the only author of this book, but ghost friends. So like I said, he had been writing this thing on the tour bus, in and out, up and down. 14 books he's been putting together over the years.
Blasting them out.
And he is not doing anything with them. He's doing the band stuff.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he'll tell people about it. He'll use this sort of fantasy but he doesn't know anything about it.
What are you up to? What's that notebook you got?
Yeah, I'm doing this, or maybe he'll post it. I just finished a draft of this, just like everybody does.
Yeah.
But not really showing it off or anything. One of his high school friends, named Dave Simmer, who he thanks in the acknowledgments in the back of the book, hit him up and said, hey, I see that you're writing stuff. He's some sort of literary agent, knows things. He's like, I know people, like, you should send me something and we'll try and make this happen.
Oh.
So he sends him not Bird Box, this book called Goblin, which is some short story kind of stuff. They're sort of working it around. He helps him find a lawyer and an agent and a manager and an editor and all this stuff. And he's like, this just doesn't feel right. And so they get through 18 months of working on this Goblin book. He's like, I've got another one that this is really what I think I want to put out there into the world of all this. And he, like I said, he has 14 things. Yeah. They're like, what is it? Oh, it's called Bird Box. It's this thing. So then they work on that for another 18 months and then put it out. There are people in your life that will just, if you're just putting out your truth and energy into the world, they're going to find you.
Yeah.
Or just own up to that and open up to that. Because he was always thinking of it as this fantasy. He even said, he's like, I want to be a writer. Yeah. But I just never reached out or thought that it was possible. It's like, dude, you're touring across the country in a band. You're already doing it. But he was just like, this is what I want to do also. But just the fact that this friend from high school hit him up. And so he's so eternally grateful in the back of the book because he's like, I had no idea. And he's like, you need to get a lawyer. And he's like, a lawyer? I'm not doing anything law related. And he's like, no, you need one. Here, let me help you. Yeah. And then the lawyer is like, well, dude, you're going to need a manager. He's like, manager? I don't need anything to manage. And then you're going to need an editor. And he's like, oh, I do need an editor. But
well, I do need it.
Yeah. But just that, I think that is also part, or in the book itself too, just that gratitude of the whole process. So that's number 5, Ghost Friends. He had him. Hopefully you have him. I know you have him.
Everybody's got him.
We're on to the big finale. The ways to make you sound cooler at parties. What you're all here for. Topic number 1, the dancing mania. Parties
I love it. You're already dancing.
You're already
easy.
dancing.
You're already dancing. Hey, did you know that
I've got
people just
dancing-
did this for uncontrollably? Uncontrollably.
I've got dancing mania. Or if people are talking about Bird Box and they're talking about, oh, that was such a
Exactly.
great mass hysteria. Did you know that there's been mass hysteria since the Middle Ages where people just started dancing and then musicians joined in
And they didn't like it.
and they couldn't stop, but they did it anyways. And here's where we are at this party. We don't like it.
We don't like it, but here we go.
We're doing it anyways. Dancing mania. Topic number 2, describing the senses. I just wanted to bring this up as if you're telling a story at a party, just challenge yourself. Try and do it without mentioning what you saw. Bring in different, because
the senses,
99%,
yeah.
and that's what was so evident in this book, 99% of what we're going through when we're talking about things is what we saw or what it looked like. And try to bring in some more touch, smell, taste, all of that stuff into your party story. Think about it a little bit before you go out tonight and say, I'm going to tell this story about this, or this is something funny that happened to me. How can I make this more tactile? Or
Don't rely on them
or visceral.
eyes.
Don't rely on them eyes. That's the new Bird Box challenge right there. And also wear a blindfold to this party.
Always.
Topic number 3, handwriting. People are going to be talking about Bird Box. Maybe it's past.
Maybe it's past.
But, you know, just as a tidbit, the fact that this guy wrote this book longhand.
Yeah, if
Such
anybody even brings up Bird Box at all, it's so easy. Hey, did you know actually the book was written out on notebook paper
On some composition.
in the back of a tour bus
Yeah.
in like 2004
Yeah.
and sat around?
People don't do that anymore. You can also talk about the reticular activating system, how writing helps you remember stuff. People are always like, oh, I got too much going on. Write it down.
Yeah,
And
like I
also,
was
this
saying-
guy wrote down a whole freaking book. No, he wrote 14 books. So deal with it.
Like I was saying about organization, I'm not good with organization, but perhaps I would remember it more if just
Write
I
it
wrote
down.
it.
Yeah. There you go. Topic number 4, raising children. Sandra Bullock,
there's a reason she was cast, y'all.
she's a mother among mothers. And so, you know, people are talking about her performance or just her in general. She's living it.
Yeah,
She's adopted 2 kids. She also said she's open to adopting more. She's not putting a limit and saying this is my family. Just what a great gal.
yeah.
Number 5, ghost friendships. You know, put your stuff out there at a party. That's all I'm saying.
You never know who's gonna just show up.
And if
in your life.
maybe you've got a friend somewhere that knows whatever. But my friend was telling me the other day he's trying to do music and he's been coy about it or saying, I do this, and then he told somebody about it and they said, oh, I got a studio. Let's jam.
Look at that. There you go.
And it's just, you know,
You never know. You seriously never know. Going out to parties whose girlfriend's brother has this incredible piece of utility that like you're doing everything with right now and wish you had access to. Oh man, I'll put you guys together. You know that
Don't
kind
be
of
shy
stuff
about
happen. Don't be shy about it.
unless it's like I kill children in my basement. Who else
Yeah,
is,
well, you know.
then,
Oh, Mike murders children. Hey, Mike.
oh my God. We go to the same basement.
Oh, weird. The Woodsley River.
Dude, do you use Glad or Hefty bags? Because I am much more partial to just oil drums.
Twine rope or nylon.
Don't do that. You're at the wrong party. Or you're at the right party.
Please don't do that.
I mean, either way, you've still met a ghost friend.
Turn yourself into the police, please.
We're not endorsing.
But ghost friends, beautiful. I think about that often. Just the people that kind of waft in and out of your life, and people that just become important, and just you would have never expected it.
And there they are.
There they are.
So let's quick recap. Last little top 5 ways to make you sound cooler at parties. Topic number 1, dancing mania.
I love it.
Talk about it. You're dancing. Number 2, try to tell a story without talking about what you saw.
What did it feel like?
Maybe it'll make it more interesting. Number 3, handwriting. Josh Malerman wrote Bird Box on a piece of notebook paper.
Why don't you try writing it out?
Yep. Maybe you'll remember stuff.
Yeah.
Topic number 4, Sandra Bullock is a wonderful woman who adopted kids, and that factored into
The casting of her in Bird Box.
And number 5, ghost friendships. Put yourself out in the world. You never know who's going to make your dreams
Be a
come
ghost
true.
friend.
Yeah.
If you see somebody that you can help, put that hand out and be like, hey man, I can help you.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? And you never know. They might be able to help you right back. You putting out the hand, making that happen,
You're a
mutually
ghost friend.
beneficial.
Ghost friends everywhere. Those are the top 5 things to make you sound cooler at parties, based on the book Bird Box. Y'all, it's been wild.
It's been crazy. I think I'm ready to go out there and impress some people.
Y'all, dance the night away.
Dance
tonight. Last little thing. Sign up for the email list.
Email list, illiterate@email.com.
Win a copy of Bird Box, potentially. You have 2 weeks.
Sign up by the 15th.
And then we'll randomly select. And then you might win.
You might
And you'll
win.
get all the updates. Illiterate@email.com.
All right, y'all.